I call the November 18th, 2015 Finance Committee to order. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 items on the agenda. The first one is the pollution control pump stations. The pollution control pump stations need replacement and upgrades. Estimated cost for this project is $2,200,000. David, I think, is here.
Well, I asked Dave to come only if you had questions about, specifics on the pump stations. Basically, we're just asking permission to apply for these funds. There's no obligation by the city, but they obviously need to be replaced. The pump stations are all around 30 years old now, and not only will they help with efficiency of the pump stations, but right now there's some confined space issues when wastewater treatment folks have to go into those. Once we upgrade those, that will take care of that. They'll all be above ground, so we won't have any confined spaces for people to be going down into wells and stuff. So,
Is this, is it, we're going to apply for the grant, so it'll be, if we do get it, is it 100% grant, or do we have to do any matching on something?
Yeah, it's, it goes through rural development. Until we apply, I'm not really sure how many years that they'll grant on that bond or what the rate will be. Typically what they've done in the past, it's usually 20 to 30 years on a bond, and their rates are extremely favorable. It's not free money, but it's very low interest rates on their loans.
Okay. Dave, anything you want to add to this?
That's about it. I think it's.
Have you just come up real quick so we can get you on the microphone?
I was reading through the proposal from Mike Pierce, and I think it's for 20 years. I think it's like $112,000 a year paid back on that. So
What was that again?
I think it was like $112,000 a year payback on borrowing $2.2 million. I think it was like 2.87%, something like that.
Okay.
We won't really know those final numbers until we apply.
What do you think our chances are of getting it?
I think we'll get it. I don't think there's any I mean, we've never had a problem before in getting money from rural development for that.
Okay. Any questions for Dave or Bill on this item? So basically, we're all in favor of them going forward to at least try to get the grant, and you guys will bring it back to us once we find that out.
Yeah, like I said, we're under no obligation. We're just asking for permission to move forward with the application and pursue it. So,
Great.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Good.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Moving on to item number 3, Police Department Camera System. Chief. Police Chief Wilcox is requesting a recommendation of the full council to accept a bid from North Star Protection LLC in the amount of $20,899.80 to replace the existing camera system inside the police department, which is 10 years old. Funds will come out of the Technical Equipment Replacement Reserve account number 03490. Chief?
So let me pass out a couple photos real quick that'll kind of help you bring you into light.
Thank you. It was just lovely.
So the existing camera system we have, like you said, is 10 years old. We're looking to add specifically one camera to that system. That's going to be in the evidence room. However, the camera system that we currently have that will allow us to add cameras to it. Our DVR capacity is at its max. It's no longer has the ability to take on any more cameras. So the evidence room was, we feel is a necessity to add a camera into that room. The other areas that were mandated under state law is to have cameras in our interview rooms. Interview rooms have to be audio and video recorded for felonies interviews, and that would be an upgrade in the type of camera that we would get in those 2 rooms, and then in our intoxilizer room. What you'll see is, specifically with this photo of the gentleman, is you'll see an analog on your left, and then you'll see an IP camera on your right. That analog is currently the system that we work under, and at 300%, that's the best clarity that you can get under analog. And when you look at the right side where the IP camera is, that's at 100%, and the clarity is pretty goes without being said, which is a better camera system. We have to relocate a camera in one of our interview rooms because the interview room was set up not in the proper manner to conduct effective interviews. So it would mean relocating it from one side of the room to the other and setting the interview room up properly for good investigation and good interviews. We have a camera in our Sally port right now that is out, does not work. It was full of water. If we replace that, we would upgrade that with a IP camera as well. We'd start to, any replacements that we needed to do, we would upgrade to IP at that point in time.
Is that all into this price?
It is,
It's all
yes.
figured into this price.
The other thing that's added into that price is a real-time live camera in the city park that can be remote accessed. This system will also allow officers to remotely access the camera system in the building and remotely access the camera system in the park, so they can watch that real-time on their laptops and their cruises.
So there's already one down there now?
There's not one
Oh,
down there,
there's not one
no.
down there.
No.
Okay, so,
Will the general public be able to access?
No, it's a secured site.
oh, you
Yeah.
can't just get that IP address and type it in?
Not under access integrity, no.
Okay.
For what we do for the state of Maine, it's not.
Does the public have to know it's there?
Probably
I
should,
would let them.
so I would
Yeah.
think we'd want
Have
it.
to tell
I would let them, yeah,
I would think we'd want it.
yeah.
So let me just ask this quick
Sure.
question. I don't want to add a lot of money onto this, but what about like the fire station? Is there anything right next door that the Chief O'Malley needs anything for camera, or even, I'm thinking even the airport? Is there anything up at the airport? If we're looking at things, is there anything that we need cameras for at your two locations, guys, that you can think of, or are we pretty well set?
We have, the old system has camera.
So you have a camera already at the fire station?
The old system there.
The old system.
camera points to the front of the bays, of the truck bay, so you can tell someone sitting up in where Shirley's currently located can view a door that's left open in the middle of the winter.
Okay.
It used to be when we had dispatches.
So do we need to replace those cameras too?
And we had one on the fire escape. That's how we were having video recording of the building demolishing our building.
Because that,
You want to see that? I have that on tape.
so that's on the old analog system
Yeah, I mean,
too.
We should have
Yeah.
secure. We have
You might
secure
want to
those.
look into see what that would cost just to replace those few cameras.
Yeah, it would increase the cost. That if we were to swap over to all IP cameras, it would increase the cost of what we're asking for now. What this is that cost right now includes the IP cameras in both the interview rooms and the intoxilizer room.
Okay.
And then the real-time camera downtown would be a IP camera as well.
Okay.
And then, check that, and then the
There's one more you said.
the one in the
bay.
Sally port would
Sally
become an
port.
IP
Right.
camera that we
Okay.
replace. And then from this point forward, as cameras started to fail, we would replace them with the IP.
They go. I
This
see.
also includes the DVR system, which will allow us to expand from this point forward. We're not going to max out by doing this. It's going to give us plenty of room for growth if we were to add on to that.
So if we need to, as the chief, if they start going bad, we can just add on to, take his and replace his and add on to your system.
Yeah, that's correct. And we can also, if for whatever reason, if there was a need somewhere in either the police or fire department that you needed camera coverage you didn't have, you could add a camera and the DVR system would allow the recording of it.
I see.
You could still run and function with that
Okay.
and get what you needed.
We don't have the camera at the airport?
Well, that's why I really wondered about the airport, I would think you might want it.
There's an old system in there. There's a monitor, there's an old receiver. Wires are hanging out of the ceilings. It's probably 15 years old.
So maybe at some point, if we go ahead with this, with the police at least, maybe start looking at about when the fire needs to be changed out in the airport. I mean, if you're gonna get in a contract with this company, maybe they'll give you a good bid also going forward for you guys. Might as well
Yeah, there's about $214,000 in that account.
into the, Technical?
equipment reserve.
okay,
yeah.
so there's some money there. So you guys could at least see what we need to do. But I know tonight's strictly on your stuff right now, so I just wanted to at least throw that out there so they can look too. Okay, any,
Biggest concern moving forward, as you look at body cameras and the issues that have been happening in police
Right.
departments, we want to make sure, not only folks that are coming into the police department, but people who work in the police department, you've got clear
absolutely.
views of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I think it's really important.
So I did want to make sure, you said there are some in the interview rooms now.
There are, yes,
Okay.
we have to have those. We have some hallway cameras as well. That function fine, they're just not at the clarity.
Oh, no, exactly.
You know, and the current system that we're in now has a delay. For instance, I was watching an interview one day that the detective was doing, and I'm watching it on my computer, and the next thing I know, he comes walking in my room. I'm like, I was just, well, how do we do this? And they're like, there's a delay on the recording. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So, you know, so this would bring that up so that DVR was real time. It's right now, it wouldn't be that delayed.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Chief Wilcox pretty much spends his day watching me, so.
That's why I want to upgrade the cameras just so we can really see you.
He likes the clarity. Wants to see the more wrinkles.
All right, so I guess I would look for Councilor Nuttall or Councilor May, just if we can recommend this to the, I guess so it's not on tonight's, right? So we'll recommend it to the full council for the next meeting. So if we can get a recommendation to recommend this to the full council.
I'll make a recommendation to the full council to accept a bid from North Star Productions LLC in the amount of $20,899.80.
Okay.
To replace the existing camera system in the police department.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
I think it's got to be you.
Second.
Second, John. Okay. Discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. Okay. Stay right there, Chief. I guess you're up again.
Sure.
Next item, the Police Department River Coalition MOU. Police Chief Wilcox is requesting a recommendation to the full council to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the River Coalition for the purpose of the police department conducting alcohol detection details and compliance checks to include but not limited to third-party surveillance, active party patrols, and roadblocks. The River Coalition agrees to pay $3,000 to cover the cost of these details. Chief?
So this is a continuing partnership that we have with River Coalition. We've done this in the past. That $3,000, we don't overspend that because we just assign people to the details and use the $3,000, and when it's gone, it's gone. We don't assign the details any further. With the third-party surveillance and what we are able to do with that in the compliance checks is we're able to monitor stores, whether or not they're selling to minors, which is a pretty successful program. We partner with local colleges and have some kids that are underage, and we send them into various stores to see if they can purchase alcohol. And, if they do, then we deal with that. And if they don't, we send a letter out to the stores that that sell alcohol and say that, on a date you were successful at not selling alcohol to a minor. So it really rewards the stores that don't sell, and then it will take care of the ones that do sell. Roadblocks, that $3,000 isn't going to cover a bunch of money into roadblocks, but it helps to put one or two officers onto a roadblock. And then the party patrols would just be if we've seen an increase in the area in either college parties or even in high school parties, then we're able to put people on patrol that night and have them patrol the streets and look for those types of activities, and then address any underage drinking coming or going, or illegal trans of alcohol, or supplying a place for minors to possess or consume. So it's pretty effective.
Any questions for the chief on this? Seems pretty obvious. So this one's got to go also. Okay, so if we can get a recommendation to the full council to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the River Coalition.
I would make a recommendation to the full council to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the River Coalition for the purpose of police department conducting alcohol detention details, compliance checks, but to include but not limited to third-party surveillance, active party patrols, and roadblocks.
Okay. Okay, Carol. So John and then Carol. Discussion. All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you, Chief.
Sure.
The last item on this agenda, the airport. So Lance is coming down. The airport manager, Lance Farrow, is requesting a recommendation to the full council authorize him to sell the Cherokee hangar at the airport. I know this came in front of the council months ago, and we approved it, but I guess we have a new buyer. Lance?
Yes, we did come in front of the council before and recommended that it be sold. and you guys did agree to it. That fell through. The buyer backed out at that time. We never took it off the table, but we never, advertised it or whatever. We had somebody else approach us a few months ago and discussing price and all that that needed to be done, and we've come to an agreement, and we'd like to sell it.
So, do we know who the person is, I'm assuming?
Yes,
Is he here tonight?
yes,
Does he have his checkbook with him?
yes.
He does have his checkbook with him? Good. Bill, the Airport Advisory Committee, they're all on board, of
Yep.
course?
Yes.
Very good. Any questions on this for anybody? Want to do a little presentation? Yeah, does your wife know you're doing this?
Yeah, kind of. Reluctantly.
So it's a win-win, right, for everybody, Lance?
It is, yes. I've done the figures, and it's a benefit to the city and a benefit to the buyer. It's a good deal for both of us.
Good. Okay, so we don't need, did we do a motion last time for this?
Yeah, we should probably just move this ahead just to get,
And then we can put numbers and all that stuff into it when it's at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll recommend just to move this item to the full council. Okay, you good with that, committee?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there are no other items on this, so I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Carol, is there a second?
Second.
John, all in favor? None opposed, so 3-0. Okay, we will move on. There are no other committee meetings. So move on to the special council meeting. I call the November 18, 2015 special council meeting to order. Flag salute. EJ, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Silent roll call has been taken. Quorum is present.
There are no minutes, petitions, communications, citizens' request. I don't see anybody in the audience. Reports, council president, none. Standing committees, any committee meetings? City councilors. Excuse me. None. City attorney. Special committees, school board liaison, city manager.
A couple things, coming up December 1st, I got scheduled a solid waste committee meeting in the morning. That consists of Ralph, Leonard, Peter Dufour, and Ted China. Just basically to make sure that they're all on board and aware of everything that's going on with the landfill expansion. And they have a few questions that they wanted to ask me, and we've got a meeting scheduled to make sure that they have a full understanding of everything that's happening. Runways at the airport will be complete as of Friday. Hopefully, if it doesn't rain the 1.5 inches Thursday night into Friday, but they should be done. Sergeants have started to demobilize up there. They will have some landscape, and they'll come back in the spring if there's any runoff or erosion around the runways. They'll fix all that in the spring. But essentially, either Friday or Monday, they'll be done with the whole project. So
Good. You happy with everything?
Absolutely.
Good.
yeah, they did a fantastic job up there, and if you get a chance sometime just to run up, and Lance is up there to take a look at some of the stuff for the seaplane base where they fixed that down there. I mean, it's looks really nice up there.
I've heard a couple people have come into the store, told me they're very happy with the way the airport's running, so.
Yeah. Jeff
job.
McComb's hangar is almost done, which is nice, and we got a couple other possibilities up there. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now at the airport.
Good.
Bill, we've been taking pictures since they started, so we can all get those together and make them arrangements.
Yeah.
And you're on the committee too, right? The advisory committee? Yeah.
When they started, every time I flew, when
Yeah.
I came back, I'd take half a dozen pictures,
Boy, that's
there, so
great.
we've got all the
from start to finish.
Well,
I
if
don't
you-
know that I've got them all in order, but I've got a lot of pictures. so
Yeah, if you can get
we'll
that
make
to
them
us,
available to you.
that'd be great. Might give you a deal on the hanger. I doubt it, but maybe. No deal? Okay.
Just to follow up on the road bond, Miles isn't here tonight, but we put out requests to 4 different banks to provide no more than $1 million of bond financing for the city road projects. And that was authorized by you folks at your September 8th council meeting. Basically, those went out to TD Bank, Camden National, Peoples, and Bangor Savings. TD did not respond to that. Camden National did not respond on the bond side of it. They were willing to give us a fixed rate on drawdown as needed, but they didn't want to deal with the bond as far as providing financing full-time. Peoples did. They had an anticipation note drawdown at 2% with an 8-year bond at 2.6. And Bangor Savings drawdown was 0.97 and a 7-year bond at 2.15%. And Bangor Savings bid included the drawdown and the bond in total. And looking at that, the recommendation coming from Jamie Pitney at Pretty Flaherty and Miles was to accept the Bangor Savings bond. Those documents will be received by Miles before the 12/7 council meeting. And on that agenda, we'll have that general obligation bond authorized by the city council in order to be approved at that meeting. So that's kind of where that all stands.
Good.
And right now, there was a couple minor jobs that were back in the B&B paving that were done, but I mean, we're done. There's no more paving as you requested, so.
Right.
I don't have a total amount on that. I meant to ask John that today, and I forgot to see where he was at with B&B on the paving in total, but.
But then in the spring, they come back and put on the second, the final coat on
As
the.
long as you folks say that's what you want to do.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Which hopefully you will, because most of that's just binder,
Right,
so.
right. Yep.
You might have I don't want to tell you that because I don't want to give you too much wiggle room, but you might have one more year if you didn't put it down on that binder,
Right.
but you should pave it next year.
Right.
The stuff that they've done.
Yep.
That's
Any,
it.
any questions for Bill? Good. Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the consent agenda, new business items number 1, 2, and 3. Councilor May, please.
Resolve the Old Town City Council hereby accepts the suggested motions under new business items 1, 2, and 3, which are approval for a renewal application for a liquor license for Delicious Bangkok, formerly known as Thai Basil, approval of a renewal application for a malt, Venice, and spiritual liquor license for VFW Post 3381, and approval of a special taste testing beer event permit for the Old Town Elks Lodge to be held February 6, 2016.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. 5 is tonight. Public hearings, there are none. Old business, new business. So item number 4, City Council consider applying for federal funding from the United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, USDA, for the purpose of financing the pollution control 3 pump stations replacement and upgrades. The estimated cost of this project is $2,200,000. Councilor Roach, can you take that for me, please?
Sure. Resolve, the Old Town City Council hereby supports the Pollution Control Department to apply for federal funding from the United States Department of Agricultural Rural Development, USDA, for the purpose of financing the pollution control 3 pump station replacement and upgrades. The estimated cost of this project is $2,200,000.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Carol, discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. 5-0. Next item, City Council consider ratifying the recount votes held on November 13th, 2015 from November 3rd, 2015 regular municipal election. Councilor Klitsch.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby ratifies the recount vote that was held on November 13, 2015 for the November 3rd, 2015 regular municipal election as presented in Exhibit A.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Hopefully somebody does. Discussion? Okay, all in favor? None opposed. Okay, two more items. The City Council consider going into executive session for the purpose of discussing the FBRI building at the mill. Councilor Nuttall.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves going into executive session pursuant to Title I MRSA subsection 4056C for the purpose of discussing the FBRI building at the mill.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
EJ, discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. We will now go into executive session. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.